old punk rocker, and am worried about the huge amounts of my fellow punks who are being beaten up for no apparent reason, except for what they look like.
It's the clothes and the haircuts that make punks noticeable, and they feel that it's because of this they're often made the scapegoats. Michael went north to find out about the people who are eye-catching, to say the least. So what is this thing called punk?
For most of us, seeing is believing, but what are you supposed to believe about punks? Is it just 3 chords on a guitar and how high you can spike your hair? It's true, some punks dress to cause a reaction, and it's the way they look which seems to create suspicion and give punks a bad name.
Yeah, they think they're tough, eh, all done up in their clothes with studded belts and all that. I don't know, it just makes the place look too untidy.
Walking around how they do, like just rags. They could get themselves better clothes to walk around in.
Oh, I think they're interesting to look at.
Especially here, man. God. Oh, yeah. The bright colours, pink. The way they talk is worse.
The way they hate reggae is worse.
Yeah, they think they rule this town, eh?
They should be put in sunny side. It's not, they're not natural.
Tell me about why you wear the clothes you do.
Oh, there's several reasons. One, it's about all I've got left. Over the years, it's just disintegrated to this. And it's the clothes that I like, and they go with what I'm into, punk scene. And I wear them so that people know I'm punk.
We want to understand, people to understand that, that you know, we are different. We're dressing this way to be different, and you know, people should acknowledge that.
Do you get a hard time for being different?
A lot of people just drive past in cars, yell a lot of abuse at you, give you the fingers, etc.
I've had a couple of bottles at a car, car window thrown at me and that sort of thing. And a couple of times people have stopped and, you know, attempted to give you a hiding and that sort of thing. It's much safer inside than on the street at the moment.
How do you feel about that?
It's really stupid because there's no need for it. We're not threatening them with anything.
Yeah, because we're not actually attempting to intimidate people. It's their problem if they feel intimidated by our dress.
We want, you know, just to be let be ourselves. And people don't, they just hassle you for no reason.
Looking like a punk can damage your health. But some punks feel there's also a danger of placing emphasis only on the clothes. So what else goes on behind the punk image?
A philosophy of pro-intelligence and creating something that you believe in rather than the attitude of going out and getting totally drunk or getting totally written off and destroying things. People should be looking at creating something within the punk movement, whether it's music, whether it's magazines, whether it's tapes, whether it's organising gigs. There's so much that can be done in a positive way.
Steve Moore does his bit for punk by producing a magazine from his flat in Auckland. Its aim is to expose punk ideas and music to New Zealanders, as well as finding out what's happening overseas, with the emphasis on a punk attitude rather than a punk image.
Too much attention's been paid to actually looking like a punk rather than thinking like a punk, and it's really the thoughts backed up with the music that's really what it's all about.
In Christchurch, there's a group of people who are sick of not being able to afford to go out. They form the Alternative Entertainment Bureau.
The Alternative Entertainment Bureau is an anarchist collective that tries to provide cheap and affordable entertainment for young people around Christchurch. When we started off, we used to do gigs in halls. First dance we did was called the Unemployed People's Party, and we charged 50 cents and we had 4 bands. And there was about 1,700 people came along. Yeah, it was good. And we've sort of done since then, we've done a lot of pub things, and we've done adult afternoons, and done heaps of gigs and things.
Most of us are unemployed, and well, we do lots of other things. Like a lot of us, some of us work at the Unemployed Rights Centre and do things up there. Some of us do various arts and crafts and things like that. There's a lot of, yeah, no, it's we just like to use our time. It's not a sort of a driving obsession for us or anything like that. It's something we want to do, and we want to do lots of different things.
If we wanted to opt out from what we're doing now, we'd go out in the country and set up a little commune somewhere where we could live our sort of anarchist type style of life, where everything's sort of share and free, basically, if we wanted to do that. But we're living here in the city. We're trying to change it from within, trying to be part of it at the same time, which isn't all that easy.
What are some of the problems?
Well, money, the whole capitalist system that we're working on, and the fact that everyone's convinced that they need to have jobs to secure the little items that they need, like videos, colour TVs, boats, cars, which really aren't necessary. It's just everyone's sucked into doing it. That's the biggest problem, everyone not realising their plight.
I don't think really anybody really enjoys getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, traipsing off to work, working in a machine or something all day, and having a lunch break and then coming home again, and for around about $150 to $180 a week. I mean, it can't be really pleasant at all, can it? I mean, it's much better to be on the beach sunbathing in summer than in a factory working on a sewing machine.
Yeah, a lot of the jobs around at the moment, especially temporary work, they're just pointless. No one would have to do them, you know.
Why do you think they make people do it?
Well, to get them back into buying the system, you know. So you have to get up early in the morning, go to work, but it's only for 6 months, so you go straight back on the dole anyway.
We're not a political party. We don't have policies and a mandate book. It's all an individual thing. Each individual makes their decision about how they want to structure their life, the way they want to live. They're bearing in mind other people, but I think that to sort of say, well, what sort of changes are you going to make? Or the changes that I'd like to make are probably different from other people's, you know. As you can't just say one clear thing. But there's obviously laws in New Zealand that are just stupid, you know.
Why do you think they have laws?
Oh, to keep people acting in the same way, to keep the bosses in their position, to keep the governments in their position. I mean, a Prime Minister is on a heck of a good salary. He doesn't want to lose his job, and because people don't want the Prime Minister anymore. Bosses don't want to lose their jobs because they've got all that money. But, you know, I don't see why people should have to keep them in their positions, you know. It's disgusting.
Being punk means different things to different people, but most believe you should be allowed to think for yourself. The music holds it all together. Hardcore punk music still isn't commercially acceptable and has a do-it-yourself approach. Rob records bands and releases cassettes on his own label, Failsafe.
Well, I go around and help bands record, and then help them put that music out. And the reason I do that is because nobody seems to be, you know, helping the bands at home, and that music is as good as and even better than music from overseas. And well, as you can see by my collection of music, I like it a lot more than I like overseas music, and nobody really seems to be helping New Zealand bands. That's why I do it.
But what is punk music?
Punk to me is an intelligent attitude. The music is played by real people, down-to-earth people. They're not rock stars up on a pedestal. The music can be slow, medium, fast, but it's, you know, the whole thing is it's energy, it's kids getting up there and doing something that they believe in.
What are some of the problems that you face being in a band?
Finding a place to play, mainly, and other things like certain elements of our society who would like to destroy us, would like to, you know.
People come along to gigs and just get their kicks out of smashing it up, and they're always the ones that come at you and say, oh, when are you playing again?
People take a lot more notice when a punk does something against society, because it looks so different, acts so different, whereas someone who wore a suit or something did the same thing, it wouldn't be noticed as much because of...
So they're not all bad?
No, of course not, no.
And it's because they look different for a start, so people automatically assume they are different. Whereas when they're not, they just like to create a different image.
But they are different.
Well, they are different, so to speak, but, you know, basic human nature is always the same, isn't it?
But they're different, but not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Punks in New Zealand face problems, and some say even dangers, because people are intolerant of the way they look and the things they say. But on the other hand, they may face another danger which is just as much a threat, that of becoming acceptable and fashionable.
And that's all from us for this year, and we'll be back again next year.
So, till 1985, take care. See ya.